there, people. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Vanessa, and today we are getting into Sabrina Carpenter's newly dropped album. I already forgot the name of it. Emails I Can't Send. I was gonna say emails I couldn't send. Close enough. So she just dropped this on July 15th. So I'm excited to get into this. I'm curious to know what her sound is gonna be, just because I have heard Skinny Dipping, I have heard Fast Times, and I have heard Vicious, and those were all Fast Times and Skinny Dipping was last like a year ago, which that's a long time to kind of start. I don't know, at least in this day and age, it's a long time to have singles without any album being planned out for a whole nother year. Whereas like Vicious just came out, what, like a month or so ago. So yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much. This album is 39 minutes, so, and 13 tracks. So let's just get right on into it. Here we go. Track 1, Emails I Can't Send, title track. As usual, I have my lyrics up on my phone.
So I could see what you did October 13th at 10:15. Were you really asleep? Were you
Very
lying to me?
soft vocals.
I can trust you. Wanna discuss you discuss me. Don't make me. And thanks to you, I can love right. And if I do, then I blame you for every worst that I assume.
Okay, it's getting louder. I'm putting the volume down.
Cause you were all I looked up to, and I can't even look at you.
Okay, what an intro. That was very much, I see Julia Michaels is credited here.
I mean, as they say in Chicago, you had it coming.
Wait, oh, okay, and then it goes into Vicious. That's actually kind of funny. It says, as they say in Chicago, you had it coming. Interesting intro track. We got a little bit of a soft, just piano accompaniment with soft vocals, and it was very raw and like honest. Not that her lyrics before haven't been honest, and not that I've like listened to all of her albums. I kind of skimmed through her, I forget what her first album is called, and like the Evolution album, but really came into being a Sabrina Carpenter fan in the like singular era, like Act 1 and Act 2, and what is it, Honeymoon Fades. Every time I say Honeymoon Fades, my brain wants to say Honeymoon Avenue for Ariana Grande, and I'm like, it's not the name of the song. But yeah, she's getting a little, I mean, this is the explicit version of the album. I think she swore a little bit. I don't know if that was because she was still technically on Hollywood Records, which is like under Disney. Granted, you know, a lot of people like Demi have been under Hollywood Records, and which is under Disney, and have had control over their music. But I'm like, I don't know if she just felt like I'm more of an adult now, whereas like the singular Act 1, Act 2 era, she was like 19, 20 years old, whereas like now she's of legal drinking age and, you know, in her early 20s. But yeah, interesting. And then not gonna listen to all of Vicious. I just want to get a refresher of what it sounds like because it's been a while. Yeah, so here's a little snippet of Vicious. This one's a little acoustic guitar.
Bad moments, but it was dressed up and heated and fuck me, that cost a commotion.
Swearing again.
You're lucky.
Oh yes, okay, I remember what the song is about now.
You're so vicious, love me, then pretend you.
She gets a little almost like country sounding in this chorus or pre-chorus.
Vicious.
Or I guess that is the chorus. Okay, that's enough for me to remember what the song is about. Okay, so I know there's speculation that like, is this gonna be Sabrina Carpenter's version of Olivia Rodrigo's Sour, and like the songs are gonna be about you know who, if you've been following. I honestly don't know, and I don't fully care anymore, just because it's been a year and a half. Like, let's move on, let these people live their lives. We're just gonna take the lyrics for as they are and not really attribute them to a specific person. But yeah, this song, the way the verse goes kind of reminds me of like a Shawn Mendes-esque type of song, and then the chorus was giving me a little bit of like almost like a country type of twang yodel-ish sound. I don't know. She's got an interesting voice where she can kind of mix into different genres depending on what parts of her voice she chooses to use, which is very interesting. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the next track, which is Read Your Mind. Very dreamlike. Oh, okay, never mind. Giving a little throwback sound. Get a little disco sound. It's catchy. I like this one. I've used that line before. It's a little like drops and then picking up of the beat. I like the flow of the lines. I just want to sing along. That you need to be alone at night and day. Want me at your back and okay, I hear you in the back, Sabrina. That you might be crossing my line. I like that. That was fun. That was a fun little moment. Little disco moment. I mean, pulling from like not skinny dipping, because that was it seems like she's playing between the like acoustic sound with like either piano or guitar and like this disco sound just based off of Fast Times. Like she's getting some, I mean, I know she's got the whole fringe bang thing going on, but that's actually been happening for a while. Like it seems like she's definitely being influenced a little by that disco genre of music. But anyway, let's go to the next track, which is Tornado Warnings. We were never in the park, talking on a seesaw. Okay, this is very talk, sing, like skinny dipping. Ignoring tornado warnings. And logically, the last thing I should have on my mind. Lying to my therapist. Give me a retro vibe, retro pop vibe. If I could convince him if he doesn't see it, then maybe it doesn't exist. I know where that son of a bitch. Like that background harmony. She crammed so many words into one line. Some of my feelings in the basement, so I still have some left. Ooh, I like that layer. This chorus gives me like chorus, the production wise and like the melody is definitely giving me like retro pop, like early 2000s, like Avril Lavigne almost esque type of sound. I love the harmonies and stacks. That's not gonna stop me. I call you out, you call me baby. We got another Julia Michaels credit here. That makes sense. All right, that was Tornado Warnings. The next song I've been seeing a bunch of videos for. I don't know if she dropped a music video for this, but this is Because I Liked a Boy. So let's see what that's about. I said I wanted thin mints, and you said you knew a guy who knew cuddling on trampolines. Fell so deeply into it. Now I'm a homemaker on a slide. Death threats filling up semi-trucks. Tell me who I am, all because I like stealing from the young. Tell me who I am, guess I don't have a choice. All because I like the boy. We're gonna pause right there. So that chorus was very telling, and I know I said we're not going to get into the drama of it all that happened over a year ago, but I mean, I feel like what she says here was a lot more open, honest, and less, not bashing, but less, you know, not needed from her point of view like Skin was. I know people loved Skin. She sounded gorgeous on it. It came out literally like what, 3-4 weeks after Driver's License had come out, and it seemed like Sabrina was very quick to be like, well, here's my piece, take it, listen to it. But then, you know, she's the queen of not answering questions. So then doing a whole press tour for the single for Skin that is not even on this album, firstly, and was just kind of like a one-off drop. Give this to the world, you guys take it for however you receive it. And she kind of just like fanned the flames of the drama. And I'm not trying to like victim blame, but I feel like she kind of fanned the flames a little bit of the drama and kept the drama going, because she dropped that single where it's like, okay, Olivia dropped Driver's License. Joshua already had a plan to drop that EP that he dropped in March, I think, of last year. And so her dropping that Skin single when like she had no plans to do anything with that single besides just release it into the world at that time, such a contentious time, I feel like it brought no value to the situation. And like I said, kind of just fanned the flames. And like, I didn't feel it was necessary. Like, again, she sounded gorgeous on it. Like, don't get me wrong, her voice is beautiful. But like, I just felt like it just like wasn't needed. Whereas like this, if she had released this at that time, I feel even just from the first verse and chorus, I feel like it would have hit harder and garnered more empathy for her in her being like, hey, I just happened to like a guy and start dating him. I didn't think that that would come with all this baggage of his ex deciding to go and, you know, pour her heart and emotions and how she was feeling, because, you know, everyone's feelings are valid. And her form of catharsis was creating, you know, those singles and eventually her album. And it's like, obviously, when you go into dating someone, you're not expecting all that happened last year. So, like, I think that this, even just only hearing the first third of the song, already I feel more empathy and feel like this is a better formulated and communicated point of view from her than Skin was at all. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. It's problematic. If you don't agree, you don't agree. If you do agree, you know, great, let me know down below. Let's continue. Okay, hear your little run in the back.
Was only trying to hold you close while your heart was failing. It's not too late to be your first love, but I'll always be your favorite. I got this price feeling upset, much on the hot topic on your tongue. All because I like the way it was us, so innocent. Dating boys with lessons. Tell me who I am, guess I don't have a choice. When everything went down, we'd already broken up.
Ooh, that's tea.
All because I liked the boy.
Another Julia Michaels co-written song. So T, that she's like, all this went down when we'd already broken up. Like, see, again, I feel like this song hits so much harder coming from someone who's like, yo, I just dated a guy because I was interested in him. I didn't realize his ex was gonna come with all of this extra stuff of people calling me names, calling me a homewrecker, a slut, sending me death threats, all this stuff, that, and like all this going down after we'd already broken up. I don't think it was really common knowledge that they weren't together anymore by the time like Driver's License and that whole drama went down. And yes, I know I'm still harping on this even though, but I mean, she's talking about it. So like, I kind of have to bring it up. It's just, the song, I feel like, I don't know when she wrote this, obviously, but I'm already like, this would have been so much better than Skin. Yeah, again, if you don't agree, you don't agree. It's fine. We can agree to disagree. But I just like wholeheartedly feel like this song hits so much harder, gives so much more, putting you in her shoes, her point of view, and providing so much more empathy for her in that situation than Skin ever did. Skin just kind of felt almost passive aggressive. Like listening to Skin, I just felt passive aggression and not like, I mean, granted, she was still going through the thick of it, which is why I was like, girl, why did you write this song in 2 days, release it 3 weeks later, and think that it was just gonna be fine? Like, you're still in the midst of feeling all your feelings. You didn't need to add to the drama and the mess. You could have just paused, let yourself feel your feelings, and then come out on the other side and write a song like this that to me is so much better. So anyway, I enjoyed that song. Next track is called Already Over, which I'm assuming we're gonna touch more on the fact that, you know, all this happened when they had already broken up. The relationship was already over. So let's get into it. Okay, a little more upbeat.
Kissing after a conversation about how we'd probably be better off as friends.
I like that same.
We can say
I like that. The first word. I really like the first words of each of those lines of that pre-chorus. Very nice words, just like a really simple but like just really pleasantly sounding run for, what were the words? Same, say, make. Like all those, like just first word of the line. Yeah, sounds like that period of time where you've like broken up, but like it's not fully broken off and you keep kind of coming back together when you shouldn't. And it's like, yeah, we should just be friends. And we're just talking. We're just, you know, closure. And then like you kissing after conversations saying we should just be friends or whatever the line was. It's like that period of time where it's like your relationship's over, but like you're still kind of not separating yourself from the other person. But anyway, continue. Let's go. See, closure. What did I say? So it's lingering feeling. Oof, yes. Ooh, and we got some layers here. It's just pleasant. Yes. I like that stripped back with the layers.
Like my bed, but it likes you too. How am I supposed to leave you now that you're already over?
Okay. Already over. Like I said, I've already kind of explained even just after that first verse and like pre-chorus what the song was about. It was giving me very much like I said, she uses parts of her voice in different ways that hits like different genres, and it was kind of giving me a hint again of a country-esque sound. Very interesting to hear her play with that, because before it was very pop. Like her previous stuff was very pop or had like a little hint of a jazzy sound or like a little pop R&B fusion sound, which is pretty common these days. But it's interesting to hear her get into a little more of the like folky, almost country sound. But yeah, it's giving me some folk vibes, that's for sure. All right, we're halfway through and we're now on to track 7, How Many Things.
You used the 4 ones. It turns out 4s are fucking everywhere.
Again with the folk sound. That acoustic guitar.
We sat on the roof once. I wish we stayed just like we were there. Your corner in the mind is where the still
Ooh, pretty.
Think about before you get to me. Before you get to me. Remember when you left once?
Okay, a little more power in the voice here.
You really came to me for sympathy. I can't help it, it's a habit.
Ooh, I like that little run there.
And I feel myself falling further down your priorities. Am I not? And I still make excuses for you constantly. Wonder how many things.
So again, very folky, very soft, very contemplative sounding. That one was probably, I do like the way that they pull back the production for her vocal the first time she says, I wonder how many things you have to think about before you get to me, or something like that. Like the very start of the chorus. But I think that one's probably more of a grower for me. But definitely still makes sense in the order so far, the track list. It makes sense where it sits. Okay, so the next track is called Betchuana. See where we're going here. Oh, okay. Little Madonna sound.
Slowly, slowly.
I like that note. Oh, I like this. I like that boom, boom, boom with bass. Head voice is so pretty. Ooh, the background. Like the slow buildup of instrumental. Not the semi-laugh, puff of laughter. I don't even know. Or was that a sigh? A little cowbell. Okay. I like that one. It was definitely giving me some inspired by Dua Lipa, especially her like future nostalgia sound. Like some of the songs, like I said in the past, with what song was it? Was it Read Your Mind? I've already forgotten. Like they are definitely giving me a little of that disco era 70s sound. And this for sure fell into that category. But next we have Nonsense. Okay, why is this giving me Ariana Grande? I was gonna make a comment the last track, but I forgot. But this made me remember. A lot of those tracks on this album so far have been her in her softer tone, and either in her head voice or very conversational speak singing, or just playing a softer, more airy tone. Whereas like with Singular Act 1 and 2, she very much was like singing from the diaphragm, very full voiced, giving us like the low notes and all the things. And so this is hitting a little more in that Singular era of pop songs that she was making, where she's kind of singing a little more in her chest versus airy or a head voice. So far I'm liking this. Let's continue.
Looking at you got me thinking nonsense. Feels so good, I had to jump the
That's clever.
I'm talking all around the clock. I'm talking home, nobody knocks. I got the LOV. How do you do this to me? But I give myself. Feels so good, I had to hit the octave. And I can't find my time, I still lost it.
Not the blah blah blahs though. I don't even know anymore. That's funny.
It's on catchy island taking pauses. Woke up this morning, thought I'd write a pop hit. How quickly can you take your clothes off, pop, please?
That was not gonna make it. That's funny. That's
Most
cute.
of these aren't gonna make.
I like that though. I like that it seems like a lot of these lines probably were off the cuff and her just trying to rhyme and like make a cute little one-liner thrown in here and there. That definitely was giving me, someone in the comments tell me what song that sounds like, because it was giving me Ariana Grande, but then it was also giving me something else that I've heard before that I just like is not coming to me that's probably come out in the last, like, I don't know, couple of years or so. And I'm like, this sounds so familiar. And at the end, she says, you know, I woke up today and thought I read a pop hit. And I'm like, it definitely sounds like a pop hit we've heard before, like in that vein. And it's catchy. I definitely wanted to sing along. That's definitely, you know, up in the list of tracks that I enjoyed. But yeah, no, that was cute. That was cute. Okay, so the next song is Fast Times. I've already listened to it, so I can kind of get a refresher, because again, this was a year ago. So let's listen to Fast Times again. I didn't realize the instrumental was so heavy with the drums.
These are fast times.
Oh yeah, there was a little dance break in the music video. Ooh, girl, I heard you in the back. Okay, another Julia Michaels co-write. Never really paid attention to the lyrics when it came out last year, because it kind of, again, these were singles that were just dropped. To me, that felt very just like one-offs. I wasn't even sure if they were going to be on an album, because right now this next track is Skinny Dipping. I think this one is like post-breakup song, Skinny Dipping. I'm just going to scan through the lyrics, because like I said, already heard this one. And this one definitely has that like more folky talk singing. So yeah, pretty much the like theme of this song is just basically, oh, another Julia Michaels co-write on here for Skinny Dipping. So Skinny Dipping, yeah, we're not gonna listen to Skinny Dipping. We're gonna skip over this. I just scanned over the lyrics and just to refresh my memory about it, what it's about. And it's definitely just like running into your ex, doing the small talk thing, how you doing, how's family, that type of thing, being like, yeah, we should totally just like actually hang out and like talk like purposefully instead of just bumping into each other, kind of dipping that toe, skinny dipping, a while after you guys broke up, and the kind of song and dance of how do we become friends without it going past that, or maybe we should just be acquaintances and just do a hi, hello, goodbye type of thing. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna move on to Bad for Business.
He's good for my heart, but he's bad for business too. Baby, we look good in photographs. I like the way you like to laugh. Never been so glad to be so tired. There's me a part of raining, quits my wish.
This is very much like a feeling like you're in an echo chamber, because the layers of harmonies are only like a slight millisecond behind the main top vocal. It's very ethereal mixed with like a acoustic bass backed production. I don't know how to describe it, but I don't know. It's interesting. But this sounds like she's talking about someone possibly new in her life.
I can't find a single reason I make all the same mistakes again.
Okay, not really acoustic actually. I lied.
He's good for my heart, but he's bad for business. It's bad, the best I've ever had.
I like this part. This kind of like slow down to the production. That's pretty. Okay, we're slowing down. Interesting. Before we get to the last track of this album, I feel like that's possibly talking about someone new in her life, but I'm not really following too closely, so I don't know. But it's definitely a shift from the earlier vibes of all the negativity and the breakup of it all that happened. Yeah, because it definitely seems like it starts off with like bad breakup, to we've broken up, but now there's all this drama. The relationship's over, yet I'm dealing with all this like BS. To we said we were gonna break up, we are broken up, but there's still like closure needed. And it's kind of messy of like you're still kind of spending time with that person when you need a clean break. To then it's probably the future with like skinny dipping and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, okay, it's been some months, we've run into each other, whatever. And then bad for business kind of seems like now we're turning a new leaf, we probably met a new person or have something in our life that's more positive and kind of brings us this joy or whatever. And then, you know, let's see how it closes out with Decode, last track of the album.
You're good at the fall and not to staying there. You're good at impersonating.
Okay, so this is a little more negative.
I let your confusion keep me up at night. Overanalyzing from back and beside it. Don't look emphasizing the gaps in the silence.
Oh.
It's just getting old.
I was like, did it skip?
Decode. Being myself did that emasculate you. That I can walk away to. Now I wonder why I'm so tired.
Like bringing in the harmonies every time. So low. No, low note.
Your confusion keep me up at night. There's nothing left here to decode. Don't look emphasizing the gaps in the silence.
Is that her laughing in the background? Am I hearing anything? Is that her? Oh, okay, maybe it was. I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was laughing. Another Julie Michaels co-write. They really were out here posting up on this album. Okay, well, that concludes Emails I Can't Send by Sabrina Carpenter. And honestly, I gotta say this is probably her most, even like I said, just the first couple albums she dropped when she was just very young, still on Disney. I didn't really listen to those albums. I kind of just like scanned through them. And after having listened to Singular Act 1 and 2, just to see what her previous work was like she could be blunt in her songwriting, but I felt like this album for sure, the songs were definitely more clear and focused on like one topic, and definitely had more honesty and self-reflection and things like that. That could just be the byproduct of her getting older, whereas like her earlier albums, she definitely was younger. I think her first album she was like 16. The second album she might have been like 18 when that came out, and then Singular Act 1 and 2 would be like 19 and 20. So yeah, I think it's just like over time she's just obviously matured, gotten older, and that reflects in her songwriting. So I think her songwriting here is great in this album. In Apple Music, the stars are next to Emails I Can't Send, Vicious, Because I Liked a Boy, and Nonsense. I would say Emails I Can't Send as an intro, I think is really good at kind of setting the tone for the rest of this album. I think this whole album probably might be a grower for me. Again, don't hate me. I was steadily bopping Singular Act 1 and 2. That, like, great albums. But like this album, because it's so almost in that singer-songwriting folky genre with just like a few tracks in there that have that like 70s vibe to it, it's not really something that I go for. I mean, same thing with Olivia Rodrigo Sour. After revisiting that album, because it definitely was a grower for me, love it. I think it's great. She did her thing, and I love to listen to some of those songs back like over or in playlists if it gets dropped in, but I'm never really in a mood to like be in that like emotional space or whatever to like listen to the full album. So I feel like that is where this album is also gonna fall for me. But I would say my favorites probably would be the intro, Emails I Can't Send, Read Your Mind, Because I Liked a Boy. I don't remember how Already Over went, but I feel like I liked it. Betchuana, Nonsense, Fast Times. Yeah, I think those are the ones. Those, what, 7 out of 13, which isn't bad. It's about just over half of the album. On this initial listen, again, this album is going to be a grower for me. I'm going to have to listen to this more than once to really get into it. But so far, those are my starred, or whatever you want to call it, songs for Emails I Can't Send. So now that I've completed listening to this album, let me know down below what you guys thought about this album. Where does it rank in your Sabrina Carpenter discography? Is this a favorite, a least favorite, somewhere in the middle? It's probably somewhere in the middle for me. But yeah, let me know down below. And yeah, give this video a like. It really helps me out. And subscribe if you want to see more content, and hit the bell so that you're notified when I do next upload. And with that being said, I will see you guys in another video. Bye.